So, just getting right into it, a little bit of introduction. My name is Sobane Mutlumelo. I am originally from Lesotho, currently based in Cape Town, South Africa, and I studied mathematics and computer science at the University of Cape Town. So today we will be looking at full stack web development. We will look at what does it mean to be, well, what does full stack web development mean? What does it take to be a full stack web developer? The kind of job expectations, the skills that are involved, and some of the character or personal traits. And then we'll also try to dive into why full stack web developer development is a promising career. It would be a good career for anyone wanting to move into web development. And we'll also eventually look into Hyperion's own web development online bootcamp, which I will dive more into at a later stage. So yeah, just getting right into it. Now, what does it mean? What does full stack web development mean, or who is a full stack web developer? So basically, when we speak about web development, what comes in our minds is websites, web applications, any sort of online system, all of that stuff. It's as long as it's on the World Wide Web, then that's for that, all of those things to actually happen and be functional, web development is involved. So when we speak about full stack developer, this would be someone who is comfortable and very comfortable in working with both front-end technologies and back-end technologies. For those who do not understand front-end or back-end, just a little bit of clarity there. So, on your daily basis, when you browse the internet, you go to whatever websites you go to. So front-end is pretty much what you see, what you engage with, what you interact with, and back-end simply refers to the core functionality that gets triggered or that takes place whenever you interact with any web application or web service or website whatsoever. So a full stack developer would be someone who's very well versed in both of front end and back end development. And so most of the time you realize that full stack developers are actually the people who, all these fancy websites that you see out there, these dynamic and very data-driven websites that you see out there, most of those are actually built by full stack developers. And and as a full stack developer, the expectation would be, or some of the core skills you would have, you'd have an understanding of thinking about an application, a website, or whatever system, end to end, from the design, from the layout, how it looks, and from all the way to how it interacts with users, or the expected engagers of the system or platform. So basically from end to end, pretty much. And now we will try to look into what actually then makes a good full stack developer. I mean, in reality, pretty much any web developer can become a full stack web developer. So in other words, one would say being a full stack developer simply means an exceptionally good or skilled web developer. However, it does not just end there. There is actually some key fundamentals or traits which may actually make a good full stack developer. And what you see listed here, these are some of the core fundamentals that we would expect a full stack developer to have. So for example, a full stack developer would be someone who actually has a very clear understanding of customer and business needs, understand the user interface, the user experience, or as I've mentioned earlier, how users engage or interact with the system or whatever platform. And it's also very well versed in terms of, databases, either relational or non-relational. And even furthermore, this would be someone who has a very good understanding of web servers, how web servers work, networks and hosting. And, speaking about servers, the most popular ones being, Apache, Nginx, or even the famous AWS, Amazon Web Services. So these are all the kind of things that a full stack developer would be very well versed in. Otherwise, before yeah, otherwise then I think you would just be a web developer. And so, as I've mentioned, so now there's just to clarify as well, being a full stack developer, it simply means you are not just focused in one aspect of, the tech or front end or back end, but you pretty much cover a very wide breadth of technologies. And for that to happen, definitely you would have to have acquired very adequate skills in different technologies. There's quite a lot of technologies that are involved in web development. However, we will just focus on the most in-demand ones, as you can see here. According to Stack Overflow survey, these are the most in-demand skill sets for full stack web developer. On the top of the list being JavaScript. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with JavaScript. You go to CSS, HTML, jQuery, Java, and so forth. And as I've mentioned as well, it doesn't just end there. All of these websites or web applications actually communicate with databases and are very data driven. Hence, you see SQL is also a part of the list. So at this point in time, if anyone has ever been thinking about web development or moving into full stack web or becoming a full stack web developer, these are the first things, or this should be the priority skill sets that you should aim to acquire very soon. And then from here onwards, you'll be good to go in terms of full stack developer. As far as full stack development is concerned, and the interesting thing is that because you'll be in both ends of the spectrum, then this just simply means you will get exposed to so many other different technologies, and every day in your work or in your role, there's always an opportunity for you to learn something new in that regard. So I think it's very important being in that kind of space where you don't just work on one particular thing on a daily basis, but then you get exposed to a diverse set of skills. With that in mind, it doesn't just end with the skills or sort of education one acquires to be a full stack developer. The most important thing as well is one's attitude and basically and personal character traits as well. These are some of the fundamental ones that we wanted to highlight in becoming a full stack developer. What would make a good full stack developer? Well, obviously, you have to be an analytical thinker, someone with a very great vision, definitely be disciplined, and above all, the ability to work as part of a team. Obviously, you might be able to do everything yourself from front end to back end, but from time and again, you'll be working with web designers, the UX people, that's user experience, user design, and so forth. So being able to actually work as part of a team is one of the key characteristics that make a good full stack developer. And of course, business acumen as well, and very good close attention to detail. So overall, that's what it means and what it takes to be a full stack developer. Now, at this point, we'll just try to cover or dive into why then is full stack development a good career opportunity, or would be something good to move into. So first of all, apart from the fact that software development in itself is a critical skill and yet a very empowering. On top of that, web developers as well seem to be on top of the list as far as the demand for developers is concerned. In fact, according to what was that? I think it was the New York Times or Business Insider, when they zoom into different developer roles, web developers are on the top of the list with about 88% or so, being in terms of just the demand. Better yet, and then half of those web developer roles are actually in full stack development. So that simply means there's so much demand for those for full stack developers. And what does this say to us? This simply means if now is the best time to actually move into full stack development, and there's a very huge opportunity there for a life-changing career path. I mean, apart from that, before I move on to the earning potential as well, according to Stack Overflow, their 2017 survey just simply shows that there's with full stack developers, about 90% of them are actually self-taught, and then half of those actually took an online course. So this simply means to become a full stack developer, you don't necessarily even need to go through a traditional 3 or 4 year college or university degree. You can simply learn stuff on your own or take an online course or bootcamp and then immediately unlock a life-changing career. So that's just a very good opportunity right there. And furthermore, according to Business Insider as well and my broadband, they mentioned that after a recent study, so basically a few years from now, I think 3 or 4 years or 5 years from now, there will be about 1 million more jobs that require full stack web developers than there will be actually qualified full stack developers. And this is just relative to the number of people who are taking computer science degree or any sort of software development or IT degree at the moment in college. So that simply means there is yet another very huge opportunity there for a lot of people to actually try to move into becoming a full stack developer. And of course, at the end of the day, we all want a decent living. So we try to gather some data on local salaries as far as full stack developers are concerned. And by locally, I mean in South Africa in particular. So you see here that a typical entry level, it could either be junior or intermediate full stack developer. Already, you could actually immediately earn about roughly 35,000 per month. So that's very decent given the living expenses as well. And then we're trying to compare this with, UK, London, or US. You realize that still being a full stack developer is a very decent career opportunity and actually a very good earning potential, up to 10,000 US dollars per month. So, and this would be, another typical entry level job for someone maybe in any European country, Germany, London, or whatsoever. And in the US in particular, probably looking at San Francisco, the rest of the Silicon Valley. So, and these would be starting salaries like the bare minimum. So now you can imagine with a couple years experience, that simply means the salary goes even higher. Now, so the good news with that being said is that Hyperion Development as well, we also have a web development online bootcamp. So basically, this bootcamp is actually a combination of 3 courses, one beginner level, second intermediate level, and the third being at an advanced level. And this is just to ensure that at the end of the path or bootcamp, you have acquired adequate skills to become a proficient developer, full stack developer in that regard, and not just in one technology. So how it is split up is, as you can see here, as I've mentioned already, it's a combination of 3 courses, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So as you can see, the first course in this path would be PHP and Web Development Essentials. And the next one, Introduction to Web Development, and then the third, Full Stack Web Developer. So just to dive in a little bit more into what these courses are all about. So I'm sure most of you who are here tonight actually are aware that PHP is also one of the, I think it was also highlighted in the previous slide where in terms of the in-demand skill sets for full stack developers, PHP is also one of the most popular programming languages used in terms of web development and just, scripting online. And this PHP and Web Development Essentials course, it is a beginner course, as you can see, and it's designed for first-time programmers or people who have basic programming knowledge and are just looking into switching careers into web development. And so it introduces the basics and fundamentals of web development in that regard. Now, moving on to the subsequent course, which is Introduction to Web Development. This will be, upping a notch a little bit, introducing the intermediate CSS, HTML, jQuery, JavaScript, and so forth. So this is where, you'll be trying, in addition to learning how to create web pages, how to lay them out, you will now learn how to style them up, how to get them very interactive or functional through introduction to web development. And the third one would be where everything just comes together. And this is the advanced course, we call it. This is the one that now just puts everything together and turns you into a full stack web developer. So you will learn quite a lot of advanced Python, web programming. You will learn quite intensively how web servers work, how hosting works, and you'll also learn a very powerful web framework that's done in Python, which is called Django. It's one of the actually very most popular web frameworks that, big or top tech global giants such as Facebook, Google, and YouTube are actually using it for some of their core functionalities. So these are all the kind of things that you will learn in the full stack web developer course. And definitely you will learn quite a diverse set of JavaScript libraries as well. As you are well aware that, JavaScript is also one of the most popular and quite in-demand programming languages. So I would say if you're looking into studying a very decent career as a full stack developer, then this is the path for you. We would be happy to actually help accelerate your journey through this kind of bootcamp, through the 3 courses as I've mentioned. And now diving into how it works. So basically, with us at Hyperion Development, we believe that in order for you to learn, to enhance your learning and to actually achieve high completion rates, you do not need to learn alone, irrespective of whether it is an online course platform or not. But we believe that, as far as education is concerned, machines will never match humans or will never replace humans. That is why we pride ourselves by uniquely pairing you with a one-on-one mentor as soon as you get onto any of our courses. So in a similar manner, you learn around your schedule and, towards your career goals based on your learning outcomes or your future aspirations. So what happens is, as soon as you get onto any course or the online bootcamp or this web development learning path, you get paired up with a one-on-one mentor. And this is the person who becomes your best friend, your best buddy, and your trainer, every step, available to you every step of the way. When you submit your work, they literally review your code on the spot, hand mark your work, and give you in code feedback. So it's not just about, hey man, this code is right or this is wrong, but they drill down into, trying to help you optimize your code, how to make your code efficient, showing you the most efficient algorithms and, best practices and so forth. Contrary to other online platforms where everything is just automated and the types of assessments, everything is just HTML quizzes and so forth. And even those that attempt to incorporate the human aspect or human touch, they do it at a very bare minimum. Whereas one of the key aspects that we actually believe in education, or we actually acquire high completion rates, is the ability to be able to scale the mentor-led online education and be able to pair each and every one of our students with a one-on-one mentor. And so your mentor will become available to you at every step of the way until you get your certificate and becomes a specialist. And so in addition to, it doesn't just end with mentorship, with the course mentorship, but we also try to provide ongoing career support and advice after your course in terms of, and we do this through our careers portal, which is where we let companies, so we actually partner with different companies locally and abroad who actually source developers from us, from our networks and databases. So what would happen is they advertise their roles, open roles through us. We then distribute these among our networks to our current students. So as our current student or graduate, you then get a first-hand opportunity to be matched with any of those jobs based on which stream you were in or what sort of skills you have acquired. So that in itself, it's very valuable for someone who's looking into studying a very good career or wanting to switch careers. We won't just teach you the skills and then leave you dry. We'll try by all means that we will be with you every step of the way until you actually land your dream job. And so the interesting thing is that when you get into any mentor support subscription These are we call these months of support. So what happens is for whatever number of months of support you have purchased, based on your career outcomes, career goals, or future aspirations, you can switch courses as you please, and you can complete as many courses as you want within the time of support that you will have purchased. We will get into how the pricing works in the next slide. Yes, so as I've mentioned, regarding the pricing, we have 3 payment plans in place at the moment. It's either one gets into a monthly subscription where they would pay 3,945, and this is just in South African rands per month, or they have an option of paying for 3 months of support upfront, and that would be 8,835 paid upfront, and that saves you 25%. Or, for example, if one gets into the whole boot camp, the Web Development Bootcamp, which consists of 3 courses, this would be 9 months of support, and you would be saving up to 33% overall, and this is billed as 23,945 rand paid upfront. So I should just highlight here, the prices might sound a bit scary perhaps to some of the people, but what happens is that, for example, with the 3 months option upfront, let's say you take any of our courses, which are typically 3 months long anyway, and then you pay for 3 months of support upfront, and you happen to finish your course in 1 month or 1.5 months or so, we can then immediately put you on a subsequent course, on any course that you prefer, immediately within the remaining term of support that you will have already purchased. So this doesn't just save you a lot of money, but it comes with a whole lot of flexibility in a manner that, based on your career goals, you'll be able to switch from course to course or take as many courses as you want within the remaining term of support that you have purchased. Similarly, it happens with the 9-month option, even better, because it saves you quite a lot in the long run, actually. And as I've mentioned, so a typical duration for a bootcamp such as Web Development Bootcamp, which consists of 3 levels, we would be looking at roughly between 6 to 9 months. And we normally recommend our students to actually try and pay for as many months of support upfront as possible, because that saves them quite a lot. For example, if you choose the monthly subscription and you happen to take 9 months or 10 months on your course, at the end of the day, you might end up having paid over 50,000. Whereas if you had just paid for those 9 months upfront, you pay just about half of that. So that's how it works, and we always encourage our students to pay upfront. And these are just, for international pricing, in case there's any international people here with us tonight. As you can see, we have the same sort of payment plans in place with $599 monthly, $499 3 months, $395 for 9 months, and so forth. And how it works exactly in a similar manner. Any sort of mentorship package support you've bought or purchased, you can use that to take any combination of our courses. And the interesting thing is that you might come into our courses thinking you are made for mobile development, and then after interaction with your mentor, realize that no, actually I prefer software engineering or web development. This is where your mentor would then be able to advise you further and say, hey man, look, I think based on your needs, this is the kind of path I think would be best for you. And that happens, flexibly. As long as you have mentor support, you're free to do anything you want, combine as many courses as you want, however you want. And now, just before we wrap it up, I just want to highlight a few things here, in case one would be wondering. I know we get a lot of questions in terms of our courses accredited, our courses recognized, and so forth. So the answer to that is yes. In South Africa, we are actually been awarded accreditation by the MICT CETA. We have been registered and accredited by MICT CETA, who are the highest authority body in South Africa in the ICTS space. As you can see here, that's our accreditation number. So if you're wondering about that, there's no issues there at all. That is covered. Furthermore, our courses, as you can see here, we have ensured that all our courses are at an international standard, because we have been we've been able to partner and we've been supported and endorsed by some of the leading tech giants, such as the Python Software Foundation, Facebook, and Google. And with Google, we have actually become the first authorized training partner for Google in the European, Middle East, and Africa. What that means is that through our mobile development courses, people can now take the Google certification through us and then become accredited by Google itself. So if you are looking into mobile development as well, that's that's a very good credential there to have. And we are always happy to have students in that regard as well. And we will also be launching some very specific courses with Facebook in the next few months. But communication as usual will be out. So in case you're wondering or you want to learn a lot more of, Facebook platform uses quite a lot of JavaScript intensive libraries. So if you want to be a Facebook developer or you want to build a product and market it through Facebook platforms, then those upcoming courses would be quite relevant for you. So just keep an eye out, check your emails, or just always visit our website for any communication in that regard. And yes, that brings us to the end of our information session this evening. Thank you so much for listening in. Now, I'll be happy to take any questions that anyone might have. As I've mentioned earlier, you can see there is a chat room there. Just feel free to type in any question that you have, and then I'll happily respond.